Hi guys, in this video we're going to make a seal pup face cake. Now this is one that I actually made in my Facebook Live over on my Facebook page earlier this week. So this is a sped up version. I've used a 6-inch chocolate cake and some frosting. Now I cheated and used pre-bought frosting for this one, guys. I probably, if I was doing it again, would maybe make my own because they didn't like it as much as homemade stuff. And I'm cutting off the top corners of my cake just to make it a bit more rounded. Now if you've got a round cake tin, like the sphere cake pans, you can just cook a cake in that if you prefer. Saves you doing this carving. It's just it takes me longer to cook a cake that's in these sphere pans than it does a normal cake. So I'm going to cover it in that frosting or buttercream, or you can even use chocolate ganache, whichever one you prefer. And I'm scraping it down with a flexible smoother. It just helps me get a more rounded shape because I can bend it as I'm scraping up the cake. I'm going to cover this one in fondant. Now guys, I did forget a step at this stage. I meant to add a little piece of paste underneath for the nose, and I forgot. You'll see in a minute that I forgot. And because I was in a rush, because it was a Facebook Live, I didn't roll the fondant anywhere near thin enough, so I should have gone much thinner. This is where I realised I had forgotten the nose. So I have to lift the fondant up, which kind of peels off my my buttercream or my frosting, so it looks a bit messy, but it's still okay. It just looks messy at this point. And then I remember the nose that I was supposed to add earlier. So a ball with kind of a bit pushed up the middle to divide it. And then I'm just going to press around. Now guys, I have washed my hands. And also, because I know lots of people are disgusted that I'm not wearing gloves. I can't feel what I'm doing with the gloves, but also these are not for anyone. They're just for me. So I'm putting the mouth in with a balling tool. So just smooth off any edges where you've maybe pressed a bit hard with your balling tool. I'm also going to nudge in with the balling tool either side of the mouth. And guys, I'm going to put links below the video to all the products and tools that I've used in this cake. Obviously, you don't have to use the same ones, but if you do want to know what I'm using, the links are going to be below. The links are pretty much to my website because I do sell cake decorating products, so you can find them on our website anyway. So I've cut off any extra from around the edge, and I'm putting a couple of lines in over the nose, just for some creases. Just adding a line going up the centre of that nose area. And I'm going to create a bit of an eye socket with my balling tool. I've got a fairly large balling tool for this one. Just smoothing it off there. I'm going to use the smaller end to just go in a bit deeper for where I'm going to put the eyes. And we're going to have 2 balls of black fondant just dropped in there. It's up to you whether you want to go bigger or smaller than what I have done. It really is personal preference to what you think looks nicest on this. Now, I haven't stuck them in just yet because I want to add a bit more colour. So I'm using the black powders, and it is edible dust is this, guys. It's not just any kind of old eyeshadow or paint. It is edible food colours. And at this point, I thought it looked a bit like a panda. So you can see that you can create the same face shape and just change the colour of the fondant and stuff, and it would look like a different animal. I'm adding a bit more of the black dust up near where I want my eyebrow area to go, or where the kind of whiskers that eyebrows come from on a seal. So let's draw them on with an edible pen. So please make sure it's an edible pen you're using, not a normal felt pen. And then let's go for a nose. So I'm going to go a bit bigger than the eye. And it's up to you whether you want to go for an oval shape or a triangle shape. I tried to make mine a bit more of a heart because I thought it was cuter. I'm not sure it's very realistic for a seal. And then we're adding highlights of white. So it's like a little teardrop shape and then a little ball on the nose. Squished down and then a little ball in each eye. If you've got a white edible pen, you can use that and draw on it instead if you prefer. Then what I'm going to do is darken it around the nose and mouth area. So I'm going back to that black edible dust and just dusting under the nose. I really want to concentrate more in the centre of the nose area because that's where I want it to be darkest, and then it gradually fade out as it comes out either side. Also put a little bit on the mouth or the bottom lip. Then you want to take a small piece of black fondant and press it fairly flat, and you're just going to press it into that mouth area. Once you've done that, you can add some pink. So I'm just touching it up a bit more with some more black dust. So the pink, you want a small oval, flattened, press into the mouth again, and then just nudge it down a little bit at the top. It should leave a bit of a line indentation at the top of the tongue. I'm going to add some black dots again with my edible pen. Guys, you don't have to do it as fast as I am doing. This isn't real time anyway, but I did still rush to do it fairly quickly with it being a Facebook Live. So if you spend a little bit longer on it, it will be a bit neater. Now I'm going to cover the board and I'm going to use a pale pink fondant. You can see it's got little bits of cake stuck in there. So it is important that you clean down your work surface between. Otherwise you'll end up with cake crumbs in it like I have done. So I've wrapped it around, pulling it tight up against the cake. It doesn't quite reach at the bottom. It doesn't matter for me because I'm going to add a body to it. If you're not adding a body, then it does want to go all the way around. I'm going to cut off any extra paste that's going beyond the edge of my board. And then we're going to add a body. Now, if you want to do the body in cake, you can. That's absolutely fine. I'm just going to use my leftover white fondant. And I've got a bit of fondant left over, so I'm going to do the body and maybe give it like a little hand. Also, I'm going to make some matching cupcakes, I think, as well, so that I'm using up my leftover fondant, but they're gonna match with my cake, which I think will be pretty cute. I'll show you that at the end. So I'm going to go for some more pink. I've gone for slightly darker pink than the background, and I'm rolling it out and pressing a texture mat into it. So this is a cable knit texture mat that I'm using here, because I'm gonna make a little scarf. Now, the colour looks a bit too similar to the background, so I'm going to use some pink dust, a little bit darker than what the pink fondant is, and I'm just going to try and catch it on the top. So it just darkens the scarf a little bit. Let's try fold it and playing around with how that's going to sit. So hopefully you can see that pink a bit better now against the background. Before it was too samey to the background. Do the same again for like a bit of a scarf that we can put out to one side. Scrunch it up at the top. Let's tuck it under there maybe. And you can add water or edible glue under this to hold it in place as well, guys. So I'm going to take some leftover fondant and we're going to make it like its little, is it a flipper on a seal or is it still its hand? I'm not sure. I wish I'd just left it white and plain, but I decided I was going to give it like these little individual fingers. Again, I don't really know what they're called on a seal, sorry guys. Also, mine's got bits of pink dust stuck in there. So it was looking a bit pink, so I thought if I added a bit of black dust, it might hide the fact that I'd got pink dust on it by accident. And I also thought I'd give it little claws. Again, it maybe would have been nicer if I'd have left it without the claws, but I felt I wanted to put them on just to see what they were going to look like. I did them in grey, they didn't stand out very much, so again, I tried to add a bit of dust. I wish I'd just not bothered with this bit though. So if you guys like it without, you don't have to add this at all. I'm going to do a bit of decoration to my board, so I'm just using the snowflake cutter. It's a mini one, this one, and I'm just going to add some around. If you want to put any writing or text on the board, just leave a bit of space for that. And then I also had these little kind of, they're like sequins, but they are edible. And these are quite cute. I just added these across the board again. I'm going to use a bit of pink just to give a bit of blush to the cheeks. A little bit at the top of the tongue. And this is the cupcake topper, guys, that I was talking about. So I wanted to make one to match. This one's got closed eyes. So if you are going to do any to match, use your leftover white fondant. I'm using the foam domes because it gives it a nice domed shape. So I'll make them on these domes and I'll leave them a few hours and then I'll transfer them onto an actual cupcake. So I've just cut out a circle with the cookie cutter. I want a small ball for the nose. We're pressing into the middle, a bit like I did on the cake earlier, only this nose is going to go on the top rather than underneath the fondant. I'm going to go fairly near the top for this one, top of the face. And it could have a little heart nose like that. I'm tempted to change it and see what it looks like if I do it different as well. So that matches with the cake that I've made. So again, we're kind of repeating a bit what we did on the cake, only this time I add the pink tongue and then we add like a little strip of white around the pink tongue. Panda eyes. So at this stage it does just look like a panda. And the dust around that nose and mouth area. We're going to make the little eyebrows to match the cake as well with some little whiskers. Are whiskers the ones that just come off the mouth? I don't know, or maybe they're just eyebrows above the eyes. Some little dots. This one's going to have closed eyes, so I'm going to roll a thin piece with a point on each end, and then we're going to kind of curve it in each eye socket. I'm just sticking it on with water, guys, as well. And I'm just going to see what it looks like if I change the nose. So I'm going to go for two little thin pieces and put them kind of pointing towards each other there. So I've taken the heart off, we've changed it for that. I think it actually looks more seal-like with that one. So I'm going to go back to my cake. I'm just going to add some writing. I'm just going to use these letter sets. These are the sweet stamp ones. Again, I'll put links to which ones they are that I've used below. You don't leave them on as plastic, okay? You press them in to make a bit of an impression in the cake. Once you've pressed them in, you can then pull out the plastic and it should leave an imprint of the writing. Once you've done that, it's up to you if you want to leave it plain or if you want to paint it. I decided I'd put some pink paint in mine. It is trickier than it looks, guys. It's very difficult to paint neatly. You can buy like easy pour bottles that pour the paint into the letters as well. I will show you those one day, I promise. Just add some more snowflakes to the board, or sprinkles, or whatever you fancy to fill in the background a bit. So there it is, all finished, along with the little cupcakes. Guys, once they've had time to dry, the cupcake toppers, you can actually put them on top of a cupcake with a bit of frosting or buttercream just underneath to stick it in place. There we go, all finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget, if you want to see the full length versions, we do them every Tuesday morning on our Facebook page, 10:30 a.m. UK time. And also check out my other Christmas cake face videos on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and more.